Hi, I'm Monica McCarthy with HomeSmart Preferred Realty in Salida, Colorado, and I am here with Steve Chapman of Salida Walking Tours. Steve is an expert in history of this
Yep.
area, and we are going to talk to you about the history of Salida, Colorado, how this town came to be, and a little bit about why we're a creative district and a historic district and what that means. So, thanks for chatting with us, Steve.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so tell us, when and how did Salida become a town?
One of the first things I'd like to share on the tours is the changes that have occurred.
Okay.
It's a beautiful place. There's grass and trees, but when you look at the old photographs, there was no trees out here at all. It was a sage desert.
Wow.
It was just completely empty and dusty and dirty. And the town had a campaign to plant trees and to beautify into what we have now.
Yeah.
But prior to May of 1880, there's nothing here.
Wow.
And then the railroad expands. The Denver and Rio Grande picked this area to build one of their stops, a depot.
Okay.
And that's when everything started exploding. Originally, though, it was kind of interesting. When they came to town, they built the depot across the river, but they
Okay.
didn't have a bridge. So
Oh.
people have to wade to get back and forth, which
Wow.
caused a lot of problems.
Yeah.
But like most boom towns, overnight we get an influx of people, and most are coming here wanting to make money. That was the whole point.
Of course.
Newspapers and shops and grocers and bars, uh, and then you get a lot of bad people as well.
Mm.
So what you see today is actually fairly similar to how things looked, say, prior to about 1890.
Okay.
We have a historic district. There's 136 buildings downtown that are preserved from 1883 to 1910.
Oh, okay.
But in the early days, if you came through, the streets are dirt. There's no trees. It's windy here
Mm.
a lot, and people were covered in grime.
Okay.
And because there was a train, you would get nefarious characters that would come in, cause chaos, hop on the train, and move on.
Gotcha.
And this was a true Wild West town.
Wow.
There were more fights than could be recorded.
Okay.
There were so many killings in the early days that in 1883, the newspaper editor wrote, "We must be getting civilized because we haven't had a murder in a week."
Low bar.
Low bar, exactly. That's a good way. I'm going to steal that. I like that. And below Second Street, there were 27 saloons.
Okay.
So there was saloons, gambling downstairs, brothels upstairs. So it was a
Okay.
true wild
Wild,
town.
wild west. Wow.
Yeah, the nightlife was pretty active here.
Okay.
But it starts civilizing pretty quickly.
Okay.
What would happen? People come in, they would settle a town, then they start moving their families in.
Okay.
So it wasn't too long till we have schools and we have a park. But even today, you can kind of see how the town is divided up. Historically, below Second Street was the bad part of town,
Oh, okay.
and above Second was the good part. So if you look, the park is above Second, the churches are above Second, the library is above Second. Good people did not come below Second Street.
Okay.
This was in Sackett, which is right near the river, was the brothel district.
Okay.
So if you didn't want trouble, you didn't go below Second.
Okay.
Everybody kind of knew how it
Understood
was.
that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the town's gone through a lot of ups and downs. We had really good years until about 1890, and the silver industry collapsed. And
Okay.
then Colorado produces the second most silver did next to Nevada.
Okay.
And at the time, our economy was on the silver standard. Your money was worth its weight in silver. It
Okay.
was artificially propped up by the government. But we have a new administration who's beholden to gold miners, switches us to the gold standard, and Colorado collapses almost overnight.
Oh,
So
okay.
then we go through a period of depression. So we've kind of had a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
Then it
Yeah.
became an agricultural community, now a tourist community. So
Yeah.
Salida just keeps reinventing. About every generation, it's just a whole new identity to what's here.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
downtown now, though, for those who enjoy history or if they just want to see the buildings the way things used to be, downtown Salida is Colorado's largest national historic district.
Well, okay.
They got that in 1984. And basically, what a historic district does is it comes through the Department of the Interior
Okay.
under the auspices of the National Park Service. So there's very strict rules on what you can and cannot do in the exterior.
Okay.
That's why they look, for the most part, original. If you see something that looks a little more modern, it's because we did not have ordinances to protect the buildings until
Okay.
1999.
Oh, okay. That's not that long ago.
Right. There was
Okay.
a district, but there were no rules to enforce it.
I
And
see.
so some
Okay.
people modernized, they changed their building
Gotcha.
completely. Now it can't happen.
Okay.
Now we have very strict rules, and I used to sit on the commission, the Historic Preservation Commission, has to review all remodeling, all signage, everything to make sure it's historically accurate. So
Okay.
now it's preserved.
That's good.
Interior, you can do whatever you want.
Gotcha.
And it's also important, somebody's buying in the district. You
Yeah.
can't just do whatever you want.
Mhm.
Any remodels have to go through the historic commission and make sure it's historically accurate and that
Right.
it contributes to the area.
Okay.
Even new buildings, we have some new here, they have to complement the district. They can't be too modern or too out of place.
Okay.
So for history nerds, there's a lot here.
There is.
We're,
And you can learn more on Steve's. I'll give you a little plug there.
yep,
The
Salida
walking
Walking
tour,
Tours, and I've
Salida
got
Walking
six
Tours.
books also. So if somebody
That's
really is into
true.
history or
Yeah.
they're new to town, it's a
Yeah.
good way to get a feel for the Wild West days,
Yeah.
and you
Some
understand
interesting stories.
why things are what they are.
Mhm.
With the park, everything from the parks to the schools to the town has a
Absolutely.
story behind it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, I mean, that's when you walk around town, it's really amazing to look closely at the buildings, and you'll by taking the tour see some details about buildings that you might not have noticed before. So it's pretty rich
Yeah, and I like
history.
to have people just kind of take a time trip in their head as you walk.
Love
Imagine a
it.
place with none of these trees and grass.
Wow.
There were
Yeah.
none. It just didn't exist.
Yeah.
So it was just dusty, dirty. It was a rough place. And then for a long period of time, the town covered in soot. It was black.
Yeah.
As a railroad town, the depot was right at the edge of town. And you look at the old photographs, all the buildings have black roofs.
Oh, okay.
And the sides of buildings, it was grimy. It was dirty
Yeah.
because of the cold. It was coal engines.
Wow.
So it was a little bit different.
Very different. Yeah. Can really appreciate the nature we have now.
Exactly. Yeah, it's evolved considerably over time.
Yeah. And then so now we are also known for being an arts district or
Hmm.
creative district.
Right.
And so that's another reason why this town has rich culture and the creative piece. So
Right.
explain what does that mean and how did that come about here?
Yeah. So talking about the evolution, we had about a 15-year period where this was a very depressed town. Prior to the mid 1980s, a third of the county worked at the molybdenum mine. I got that out in Leadville,
Okay.
and it closed without warning one day in 1984. Overnight, a third of this county was out of work,
Wow.
and everything went for sale. Everybody's leaving.
Yeah.
Homes were for sale, businesses. We proceeded to have a 15-year depression. When you go to town, go downtown now, it's thriving, but until 1999, half of the buildings downtown were empty. There was just no business here. Even the river was not something to really look at. It
Yeah.
wasn't developed. It was pretty basic.
Yeah.
Um, so the town realized they've got to do something to survive. This was a dying town, and
Mm.
so they started bouncing ideas around. In 2010, the town council made the decision to reinvent as a tourist town. In fact, it was front page news headline: "We're going to be a tourist town." And
2010. That's not that long
we are
ago.
very new in terms of being touristy.
Yeah.
And so they
Okay.
started a lot of initiatives, like they fixed sidewalks and put street lights, things that we didn't have.
Okay.
Along with that, we had developed a thriving arts community here. Because it was a depressed area, you could buy property for ridiculously low amounts.
Really, really
And it was
cheap.
kind of silly to buy because it was a dead community, but artists didn't care because they needed a cheap place to work and then they were traveling to shows. So it really didn't matter that
Yeah.
we didn't have a tourist economy.
Okay.
So enough artists had come in that the town got the idea to apply for something new. Colorado in 2010 was not what it is now.
Yeah.
We didn't have the huge population. We didn't have the big thriving economy.
Yeah.
Rural areas and inner city areas were not doing well.
Mhm.
And what they wanted to do was create an initiative to encourage people to visit inner city areas and rural areas. And Colorado started the Creative Arts District program.
Okay.
So in 2012, Salida applies along with 25 other cities. And
Okay.
we were one of two places that were the very first creative arts districts.
Oh, okay.
The Santa Fe area in downtown Denver was one,
Okay.
and then Salida.
Nice.
And
Okay.
with the district, there was a lot of grant money. You get a lot of opportunities, more artists coming in. They would advertise for
Okay.
people to come see the arts. And now it's really grown into a huge arts community.
It has definitely.
Visual arts, a lot of writers through here, a lot of performances, a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
And that's all because of that district. And it did what it was supposed to do, which was to revitalize
It
areas.
has definitely.
So we've really only been touristy for about 10 or 12 years.
Okay.
And it's probably been in the last 6 years that we really caught on. We got found.
Sure.
And now we have a whole new wave of artists coming in that are kind of taking things to the next level.
Absolutely. We have more visitors in the summer and
Yep, absolutely.
for the river and everything. So,
Right.
yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Steve,
Yeah,
for telling us some more information about Salida's history. We have a really rich history. If you want more information about that, take one of his tours or read those books.
absolutely.
How many did you say?
Six.
Six
Six books
now.
now.
Okay, and I'll have links to all of that information in the show notes. But thanks for chatting with us, and thanks for watching. If you have more questions about the Salida area, please subscribe to this channel or reach out to one of us below. All right, thank you.
Thanks.